Hey, foodies who love to read, welcome back for another amazing, delicious episode of Bookish Bites. I am so excited. Now, this episode is a little bit late, but please don't judge me because I want y'all to know I'm fancy. I got a microphone on, not me investing. And then, look, come. Look at this. Girl, she got her a cooktop. Come on with the setup. I am so excited and thrilled. I am investing in Bookish Bites because I believe in it. And this is the first part of my manifestation. You understand me? Because this time next year, I'm determined to have me some big, fancy show somewhere. Hello, Food Network. But anyway, in the meantime, in between time, let's get into this week's episode that is inspired by none other than Embassie Susberry. I pray I'm saying her name right. First of all, she ain't got enough flowers. Do you understand me? Let's start there. She has not received her flowers, in my opinion. She has had me and Kendella in a chokehold. Do you understand me? Okay? I'm absolutely obsessed with her. Now, as someone who is a historical fiction girly at heart, that is actually how I started to fall in love with reading. The first book I ever read that I distinctly remember that kickstarted all of this was um, Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry by Mildred D. Taylor. I read it in the 5th grade. It was the first series I'd ever completed. When I tell y'all I've been locked in ever since, and Embassie Susberry takes me right back to 3rd grade. She takes me right back to James Monroe Elementary. Clock it. I feel so good when I'm reading her books. They are intriguing. You get the slow burn. You get classy romance. Do you understand me? You get the heritage without the trauma. Because I love historical fiction, but unfortunately, most of it, and sometimes it's anchored in hurt and the bad parts of our history, but there are some good parts, and she has found a way to make it work. Tonight's episode is inspired by The Inheritance. It is clearly book one that's going to be a part of a series. It follows Arya and Lane on a very unexpected journey from enemies to lovers, and it is full of intrigue. When I tell you from page one, I see so much of myself in Arya, but then I see so much of my real life book boyfriend, my baby daddy, my husband, that man I like and I love him. Baby, I see so much of my husband and him when reading this book. That's how you know a good character comes to life, when you can see bits of reality inside of those characters and you don't want to put it down, because the book is a healthy book, okay? Sis know how to write a lengthy novel, but these characters are so opposite yet so alike. This book was so indulgent but comforting, just like today's meal. Today's meal is absolutely decadent. We are doing stuffed shrimp, crab stuffed shrimp at that, over a bed of lemon butter pasta. And we're going to make that thing from scratch. Let's jump right into it. Now, I mentioned before that this story is indulgent, but it's so comforting. Just like the discovery of family and history and secrets. You know what I mean? Like, there's something comforting about watching that unfold in a really good story. It feels special. You know what I mean? Like, I absolutely loved every part of this Dag Nabbit novel. The characters were so relatable. And if we don't do nothing else, in my mind, because the book was set in I want to say late 50s, early 60s. That's the time frame I believe that this book was set in. And I feel like this is something that's simple yet decadent that they may have actually had at a restaurant or a family friend's house. You know what I mean? So for our crab cakes, we have a little bit of hot sauce. I have mayonnaise. I have lemon. I have some Worcestershire sauce. I have some Old Bay sauce, some mustard, and I also don't make a single thing without our foodies who love to read seasoning. I used A Good Book Really Hits the Plot, which is our savory Italian herb blend. The Book Was Better, which is our food essence, honey. And then we also cannot make anything seafood related without our villain origin story, which is, honey, a Cajun lemon pepper blend. And then Book Boyfriends Do It Better. This actually fits this story perfectly, because the book boyfriend did do it better. Lane grew on me because when he first started, baby, I couldn't stand him. Okay, but that's the magic of enemies to lover stories. And then the other good thing that was really cool about Lane is you saw him grow. And then the cool thing is, even though it was in the 50s, there's a part of the book where he realizes she's actually way better at a lot of stuff than him, and he lets her take the reign. Can you believe such a thing, honey? I was instantly. Now we have all of that mixed in, and we have that also. I have an egg in here. We're going to mix all of this up, and the reason why I mix it first is because I like it to be settled and blended extremely well before you start adding your crab meat. That way it coats the crab meat evenly, and you already know that it's seasoned to perfection. You understand me? And that's the kind of color you want. You want to be able to see the herbs and spices mixed in. You don't want it too runny because you can always add more. You understand? Because the ancestors going to help you. They're going to guide you as you make this meal. And then I have me a pound of delicious lump crab meat here. And we just going to lump that in like so. Don't be afraid to get your hands dirty because you and the people at that house going to be eating it. You understand me? Now, I did put a little bit of lemon juice on my crab meat as well. And try not to break it apart like too much. You know, you don't want it to like crumble because you still want the lumps to keep the shape of a crab as you're doing it. You know what I'm saying? So that they don't like be a mess. So I'm just going to pat that in there like so. The other thing is you have to have you some delicious breading. You cannot have any type of crab cake without good breading. Let's get that in there like so, like that. Not too much. And remember, season as you go, blend as you go. And see, I'm telling you, I can imagine in the 50s, this is what they was in them kitchens doing for the men. You understand me? They had their apron on. Now, they didn't have a Foodies Who Love to Read one, and you could have yours too. You understand me? But, you know, I'm not judging. I'm not judging. So this is what you're going to do. You're going to blend this up just like this. Mixed all of our yummy crab meat together, and we got that thing flavored and seasoned to perfection. The next step is you're going to take your shrimp and you're going to butterfly them from the bottom. Okay, you need the bottom and the base to be flat so that it sits up right in the pan. Now, I have seen people do this way fancier than me, so I don't want to hear nothing because this is how I do it. You know what I'm saying? The ancestors done led me to do it this way. Okay, you're going to stuff it like so. Now, I don't season my shrimp ahead of time because I think that overdoes it. You know what I mean? Because I already got butter and lemon in there. A little bit goes a long way. Okay, and the Foodies Who Love to Read season, it does just what it's supposed to. So you're going to set this one here, and you want to get that whole pan filled up. You know what I mean? Because you want them to lean up against each other. And again, butterfly bottom. So that way it can sit upright. You're going to take that that crab meat, and you're going to stuff like this. Now, see, I don't care what nobody say. These kind of meals, they're going to make a man happy. Lane would love this, okay? When the characters start off as enemies and then they work their way to love us, honey, this is what you offer that man, okay? This is what you're going to give them. This is what you would cook a family in turmoil. This just says, I love you. You understand me? This says, welcome home, okay? I was thinking of you. Now, I am going to add a little bit more butter because I feel like it's not enough in there. And then across the top, I'm going to add a little bit of The Book Was Better and a little bit of Villain Origin Story, that Cajun lemon pepper seasoning. It's going to bring it all together, you know, and I'm going to add just a little bit more butter. And then I'm going to put this in the oven and let this cook for a little while. And then we're going to get started on the pasta. Okay, and now for another very fun part of this. What we're going to do is we're going to take some pasta that I already pre-cooked and we're going to toss it into a sauce that I made. It is a lemon butter sauce. It has fresh garlic. It has some of my seasoning. It has some fresh herbs, and we're going to put this in that pan. I'm also going to use some fresh garlic and herb butter. And we're lightly going to toss and coat our pasta in it because the shrimp is going to create a sauce and it's enough to go on top of the pasta. You don't need to do too much. You understand what I'm saying? And we're using our fancy new cooktop. You understand me? Because I told y'all we was fancy. Do you hear me? I'm practicing. I'm practicing for when we have our show, okay? Because y'all going to be like, I remember when, okay? So let's start making that meal for our book boyfriends. You hear me? That man that's in your house, that man that's in your life. We're creating the perfect book vibe, this space right here. So let's start with dumping all that butter in there. Judge your mama. You understand me? Judge somebody else. So you're going to put that in there like that. Ooh, that thing cooking nice. And it don't take long, okay? Oh, look at that. It's already sizzling. Move that around like so. Let that butter cook down. I'm going to have to learn how to turn this thing down. Hold on. I think that's good. Okay. Because I don't want my butter to burn. That's the worst thing you can do is have that butter burn before you get that pasta in there, because burned butter will make your food nasty. You understand me? And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add in this yummy and delicious sauce that we've created. Ooh, woo. This smells so good. Look at that, honey. Now, this is not raw, so you can taste this to ensure that it is the what you're looking for. And let me grab a lemon slice. Let that lemon get in there, some fresh lemon and herbs. The other thing that we're going to add is some Parmesan. There we have our herbs, we have our butter, we have our lemon juice. This is so absolutely delicious, and it's so savory. The next step is we are going to start to toss in our pasta. And I'm serious, y'all. If you decide to read the book, which I highly recommend, I think that this meal is the perfect book that matches the energy, the tone, the history, the richness. This meal is so rich and so flavorful. I think it's the perfect family meal. That book had so many layers to the family. Some parts was dysfunctional, but then she would wrap that thing up and I felt okay about it. You know, there were so many layers to exploring father-son relationships, in-laws, relationships. You understand me? Because sometimes the mother-in-laws, okay? But there was so much to that book. There was also some spiritual over and undertones. There were so many messages hidden within that story. And I think that this meal matches it perfectly. Perfectly. And look at that. That thing just come together so beautifully. And you're going to put all of that in there. This is one whole box of pasta. Because again, I said I'm feeding the whole family now. And you're going to toss it just like that. Just lightly toss it. Lightly toss that sauce over there. Oh, come on. Come on. This thing smelling like somebody's Christmas dinner in here, okay? And then you can't do a pasta without a little bit of Parmesan. Ooh, if y'all could just smell this. Oh my goodness. When they was making my boo Aria do all that cooking before she stood up for herself in that book, I imagine that's what that kitchen was smelling like. And actually there is a scene in the book where they do make crab cakes. Okay. So it's tied together because I do this. You understand me? Because I'm a foodie who loves to read. Okay. Now that we have done our pasta, we have stuffed our shrimp. Now it's time to plate, because in my opinion, that's just as fun and as amazing and a huge part of the meal. So get into this. This is going to look like when you take it out of the oven. I like mine to have a little bit of a crisp on the top, so I left mine in a little longer, but that thing is cooked to perfection. And you are going to plate that on top of your pasta. Okay. So, in my opinion, and I do like to think that this whole foodies who love to read thing, I got that thing on lock. So, in my expert Foodies Who Love to Read Opinion. This book matches perfectly with historical fiction. It's rich, there's character and charm, it's flavorful, it's savory, it's all of the things like a wonderful and delicious historical, romantic, historically written novel. I absolutely encourage you to check out Embassie Susberry. Her catalog is phenomenal. 10 out of 10. I do recommend over and over and over again. Alrighty then, I appreciate y'all. Please be sure to follow me if you're not already. I appreciate you in advance. Thank you. I am Foodies Who Love to Read on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, and Facebook, all of the places, all of the ways, and all of the things. Check us out. Support. I appreciate you in advance. And also, you can purchase these amazing seasonings that I use, inspired by some of the phenomenal books that we love as well. Mwah.